Hi my fashionistas, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I filmed last. I'm so sorry guys, I've been super busy. I'm actually happy to announce that I'm working for a new company as a fashion stylist for a men's brand. I don't want to share where yet, but it's definitely located somewhere in Manhattan. And I will share some little bits of that with you guys further in the year, I guess. And yeah. So today I want to talk to you guys about how to start searching for a job in the fashion industries and pretty much find the perfect job for you. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So my first tip to you guys is to know what company you want to work for. And although that may seem like the obvious thing, people usually don't put that as their first priority. So one thing that I have to say about that is when you find that company, you need to know if you actually fit into that company. I suggest knowing if your style matches their style. When I used to work for Tommy Hilfiger as a high school student, I would always wear street style, and I would always get penalized for it because the managers in that company wanted me to wear Tommy Hilfiger. And of course I was young and I didn't really care to like fit into the brand just yet, and you know, it kind of backfired on me because they would always kind of like look at me and not really think that I fit into the company so much. And the people who were actually like wearing their products, they looked like they were a part of that company. And that really goes everywhere. Whenever you go into another job, you're gonna want to wear their products. It's just gonna overall make you look like cohesive and just, you know, fitting really into the brand. The next thing that I want to say is, do you admire the brand that you want to work for? So when I was a kid, I would collect a whole bunch of magazines from Condé Nast, and I would cut them up and make fashion collages, and it was just like my favorite thing to do. So of course, growing up, I wanted to work for them. And so that was my admiration for that company, you know, that little bit of love that I've held with me as a child to now an adult. So do you admire the brand that you're working for? Don't just work for a brand because they're well known or they might be a luxury brand, because at the end of the day, they might not be exactly what you're looking for. You have to really know why it is you want to work for that brand. My next tip for you guys is to know what job title you want. So make a list of all fashion job titles, even if it sounds impossible to get, and just write down the ones that you're okay with working for and which ones you kind of want to avoid. So for example, I made a whole list of jobs that I wanted to do, and something that really caught my interest was being a creative director. And so when I went and searched for creative director, I saw that there were so many things that they have to do that I've never experienced before. But even though that might be the case, I didn't just quit on being a creative director. I told myself, okay, well in that case, I'll learn all the obstacles that are in my way and then make a good resume enough to then become a creative director. I also suggest doing your research on what the title actually means. So for instance, I went to school to become a fashion buyer, and I had the degree for it and everything. And when I searched what fashion buyer means on Google, a lot of these articles kept popping up saying things like, oh, it's so glamorous, you get to go to Fashion Week, and it's gonna be such a great job overall. But then once I did that 4 years of college and actually looked to see what it means to be an actual fashion buyer, it seemed kind of dull. It didn't seem as glamorous. It kind of had more so to do with like math and Excel sheets and just basically knowing how many clothes or units you need for so and so. And it didn't seem as glamorous to me anymore. So definitely do your research on what that title really means. Just make sure that these titles are actually something you can see yourself doing long term in the future. Just make that list and go over all of the ones that you really want to do and sounds super interesting to you, and trust me, you will be happy with what you find. My next tip for you guys is to find a job engine. And I know this may seem pretty obvious, but not every job engine knows exactly what you're looking for. For example, I used to really want to be a illustrator. And so I would go on a job engine and type in Illustrator, but nothing will pop up for that. The closest I would ever get would be like a book illustrator, and obviously I wanted to be a fashion illustrator. So definitely search all kinds of job engines that are gonna know exactly what you mean. The first job engine I recommend is LinkedIn, because it shows you a whole bunch of companies and job titles and pay. So that is definitely the greatest one. The next one I want to say is Google. It's kind of just a lot easier because you could just type in whatever and then put job after the sentence. Like if I did want to become an illustrator, I would just put fashion illustrator and then I would just put jobs, and then a whole list of jobs would just pop up for me. And the next one I want to say is Indeed. I think Indeed is super easy to use. You just put in the job title and then you put in your location, and a whole bunch of things pop up and you can just scroll through them and pretty much read the job qualifications and whatnots. And it does allow you to put the company first, and then you can actually see what job titles are available for that company. The last thing I recommend is also just putting in the company itself in a search and going to careers for that company. Within that, you can type in the title that you're looking for. So if I wanted to work for like Hermes or something like that, I would just go to Hermes.com and then go to careers and put in a title that I want, and then I can then search for that title, or I could just go to careers, put my location, and then search that way. Also, once you find the perfect search engine, you can then start looking at jobs and their requirements. So even if you don't feel ready to apply to that job, you can at least read all of the qualifications that you would need for the future. So my next tip for you guys is to do your research. I feel like I've been hinting towards this kind of throughout the whole video, but you're definitely gonna want to do as much research as possible. I suggest making another list of all of the things you care about from a company. So things like work-life balance, or how long the job hours are exactly, or the environment that you're gonna be into, things of that nature. Just kind of make a list of all of the things you care about. Like one of the things that I used to care about so much was how long the lunch hours are, because back when I was in high school, I would only get like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So I always wanted just a little bit longer, because I always felt like I was like rushing or didn't really get enough food in my belly. So definitely make a whole list of all of the things that maybe in previous jobs you didn't like, and so now you want this from your next job. And even if it seems unreasonable or, you know, kind of crazy, like, okay, I'm not gonna find a job that has my whole list down, But just make that list for you so then you can keep focus of what's important to you. And if the company has like a large majority of the things that are on your list, then you know that is the perfect company for you to start working for. Another thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that list is Glassdoor. So I love using Glassdoor because it shows the company's reviews, and you pretty much get to see if people that work there actually liked working there. Definitely read through all of the comments and see if there's just like one comment where one person had one bad experience, or if majority of the people are saying that same bad experience, then you know whether or not to stay away from that company or go into that company. That's where the list is kind of gonna help you a lot, because sometimes people make comments about maybe things you don't really care about, and you can just like ignore that one comment or several comments and still apply for that company. You can also again go to the actual company's website and look at their about and learn more about that company that you want to apply for. This might also help when interviewing as well, just doing all this kind of research, because a lot of the times in interviews people want to know why it is you're applying for that job. So something they ask is, why do you want to work for this company? And when you have all of this research down packed, you're gonna know exactly why you want to work for that company. I also recommend doing the research for pay, wage, and benefits, because not every company pays the same, even if it's the same job title. Do as much research as humanly possible, and with all of those tips you will find the perfect job for you. I promise you that. Just look through everything and make sure that you're doing this for you instead of a job. Make sure that you're gaining something out of the experience, and make the path for yourself, even if it feels impossible. Like when I told you guys about like creative director, even though you would need like 8 years of experience for something like that, and just like seems like impossible to get, just make that map, that road for yourself, and follow through with it. And I promise you, you'll always reach your goals when you map things out. And having that as well will also help you with knowing that question that you get asked a lot in interviews, which is, what is your 5-year plan? Make that 5-year plan for yourself, even if it seems completely impossible. Just do it, and I promise you will always feel like you're at least working towards something, instead of just having a job simply to have a job and live paycheck to paycheck. Okay, so that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope that this was helpful. Stay tuned for next week's video, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.